Want to ask anything? Please
No, sir.
confirm if
No
anyone.
doubts.
No doubt. No doubt. Okay.
Sir,
All
in
right. So
revaluation account, which is loss that we have to write on the debit and the profit we have to write on the right?
yes, yes, yes.
If
That is right.
suppose if there is a 5% depreciation on the machinery, so we have to take 5% of the machinery and we have to reduce it, right? Is it?
Yes, yes. We have to reduce the value of the machinery by 5%, and at the same time, we need to record this in the reduced amount need to be recorded in the revaluation account. And after the reduction of such depreciation amount, we need to record the remaining value of the machinery in the balance sheet as well.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, everyone. So we'll start our session with question number 139. This is going to be a lengthy question since this question requires us to prepare so many things. Let's just first of all read this question. This question says that there are three partners X, Y, and Z. Their profit sharing ratio is 3:2:1, right? And following is the balance sheet of this firm. In the balance sheet on the asset side, we can see that there are cash balance, bank balance, sorry, cash, debtor, stock, investment, patent, machinery, goodwill, advertisement, expenditure. All these are on the asset side. If I'm sure that all of you are able to recall that advertisement expenditure is a kind of loss, right? So it need to be treated
Sir, it is
just
an
like a loss.
expenditure based on advertisement.
Sorry.
Sir, advertisement expense.
Advertisement expenditure is an expenditure related to advertisement, obviously, and it is considered as a loss.
Yes.
On the liability side, we have creditor, workman compensation reserve, investment fluctuation reserve, capital account, balances of all the partners. All right. And question gives us for few adjustment in this question as well. So these are the adjustment. There are many adjustment in the question. So firstly, question says that Z is retiring from the partnership, and since he's retiring, these terms have been agreed. Goodwill of the firm need to be valued. Sorry, goodwill of the firm is valued at 34,800. Value of the patent to be reduced by 20%. Machinery is 290%. Provision for doubtful debt is created by 6% at 6%. Z took over the investment at market value. Liability for workman compensation is there 750 is to be created. Liability of rupees 4,000 included in the creditor is not to be paid. Amount due to Z to be paid as follows: 5067 immediately, 50% of the balance within 1 year, and the balance by a draft of 3. We need to pass the journal entries for the treatment of the goodwill,
Yes.
as well as we need to prepare the revaluation account, capital account, and the balance sheet as well. So this question requires us to do so many things. Firstly, we need to pass the journal entry for the treatment of the goodwill, and we
Yes.
have two goodwill here in the question. First is the goodwill that is appearing in the book, and then there is a firm's goodwill as well, 34,800. So we need to pass the journal entry in respect of both kind of goodwill appearing in the book as well as the self-valued goodwill. And after we are done with the journal entry, we need to prepare the revaluation account, a capital account, and the balance sheet. So this is going to take a lot of time. Probably in the entire session, we'll be able to complete this question only. So let's just start. It won't take long if we practice such kind of questions, such kind of lengthy questions. So you will be able to finish it within 15 minutes. But since we need to explain and understand everything, so it will take some more time. Anyway, so first of all, question is asking us to pass the journal entry for the goodwill. So let's do that. I want all of you to try this. First of all, pass the journal entry in the question for the goodwill. Write somewhere that the goodwill appearing in the book is 6,000, and goodwill of the firm is 34,800. We need to pass the journal entry. Guys, you understand now? You remember now how do we treat goodwill? Different type of goodwill. Goodwill appearing in the book is which kind of goodwill? Tell me. Goodwill that appears in the book is which kind of goodwill?
The purchase.
Correct. Purchase goodwill. So see, let me explain you a little. In order to treat the goodwill, treatment of goodwill depends upon treatment of goodwill is different. Treatment of goodwill depends upon the type of goodwill, right? So treatment of goodwill depends if it is the purchase goodwill or the self-valued goodwill. So you have to identify in this question which is the self-valued goodwill and which is the purchase goodwill, and depending upon that you need to pass the general entry. So I'm sure that everybody already understands that a goodwill that appears in the balance sheet is a purchase goodwill. So the purchase goodwill in this case is 6,000, and the self-valued goodwill is in this case is 34,800. So you need to, as you already know that in case of purchase goodwill, you need to pass the write off entry. You will have to write it off, writing off entry. Purchase goodwill need to be written off. And in case of self-valued goodwill, it needs to be adjusted. So we need to pass the adjustment entry. All right. And before doing the adjustment entry, you will have to determine the sacrificing and gaining shares of the partner also, because adjusted goodwill need to be adjusted among the gaining and sacrificing partner depending upon their gaining and sacrificing shares. All right, I'm waiting for you to finish with the journal entry part, and then we'll move to the other part, revaluation account and everything else.
Excuse me, sir, is there a new profit sharing ratio mentioned?
New profit sharing ratio. Yeah, new profit sharing ratio is given in the question, that is 3:2.
Okay.
It is, see, it is not mentioned in the question, but since question is saying that Z is retiring from the partnership and the new profit sharing ratio is not given, that then in such a case we will simply write off the Z's proportion of share and the remaining share will be considered as the new profit sharing ratio, right? Earlier the profit sharing ratio was 3:2:1, right? But since Z is retiring and the new profit sharing is not given, so we will simply strike off Z share, and that the remaining proportion of share will be considered as the remaining partner's share. That will be the new profit sharing ratio, that is 3:2.
Okay,
I
sir.
hope this is clear.
Sir, purchased goodwill we can directly calculate in the old ratio, right?
We can directly distribute it among the partners in the old ratio, right?
Okay.
Or let me show you. See, the first general entry we will do for the treatment of the goodwill appearing in the book. Right, goodwill that appears in the book is the value of the goodwill appearing in the book is how much? 6,000, right? And this 6,000 need to be written off, and the loss of writing of the goodwill has to be borne by the old partners in the old PSR, old profit sharing ratio, and the old profit sharing ratio is given as 3:2:1. Right? I'm sure everybody is able to locate that. 3:2:1 is the old PSR. So if the old PSR is 3:2:1, that means when you will divide 6,000 into 3:2:1, that means 3/6, 2/6, and 1/6. In this ratio, this will be shared. This will be distributed. So 6,000 out of 6,000, X need to bear 3,000 of loss. 2,000 will Y's capital account will be debited by 2,000, and Z's capital account will be debited by 1,000, and the entire amount of goodwill will be credited. This is the treatment for the purchased goodwill. Got it, everyone? Is this clear? Please confirm if it is clear or not.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Yes, sir. That's clear. Now, similarly, we will do the treatment for the self-valued goodwill, right? So we'll put the heading as treatment of the self-valued goodwill. Self-valued goodwill. Okay. So in case of self-valued goodwill, we must have some idea about the gaining and sacrificing shares of the partner, right? So before passing the generality, we will have to determine the gaining and sacrificing shares of the partner. And for that purpose, I have to make an extra working note. Extra working note showing calculation of gaining and sacrificing shares. And to determine the gaining and sacrificing shares of the partner, as usual, we will subtract the old ratio out of the new ratio, right? Old ratio and new ratio. New ratio as in new profit sharing ratio. And partners are X, Y, and Z. See, their old ratio was 3:2:1. That means 3/6, 2/6, and 1/6. That was the old profit sharing ratio of all these partners. And since Z is retiring and question is not telling us in what proportion Y and Z will be acquiring his share, so we will simply presume that the new ratio will be between X and Y, it will be 3/2. 3:2. That means 3/5 and 2/5. And new ratio for Z will be 0. Now we will determine their sacrificing and gaining share. As usual, if we get the negative proportion of share, that indicate a loss, and if we get, sorry, sacrifice, and if we get the positive value of share, that indicate gain. So 3 by 5 minus 6, 3 by 6 will be, to calculate it, we will simply take the LCM. 6 5 is 30, then 18 minus 15, which will be 3 by 30, right? And in this case also it will be 30, and 12 minus 10, that means 2 by 30, and this will be minus 1 upon 6. So ultimately this will remain minus 1 upon 6. So this shows that since Z is only getting the negative value of share, so this indicates Z is sacrificing. Obviously, since he's retiring, so he must be sacrificing. And other than Z, X and Y are gaining. Right, everyone say, so now we got the gaining and sacrificing shares of the partner. We can now pass the journal entry. But before that, let's also find out the value of the goodwill. Value of the goodwill. See, goodwill of the firm is how much? Goodwill of the firm is how much? Goodwill of firm is given. Notice, please pay attention, try to understand. Goodwill of the firm is given. Goodwill of the firm is given as 34,800. This is the goodwill of the firm. Now, how much is Z's share in this firm? Z's share in the goodwill. Z's share in goodwill will be adjusted only. Keep that in mind. Since Z is retiring, na, so we will have to find out the Z share, and that share of goodwill need to be adjusted among the partners and their gaining and sacrificing share. Got it, everyone? See, let me show you. In the question, goodwill of the firm is given. Everybody is able to see that? Goodwill of the firm is 34,800. Goodwill of the firm, not the goodwill of the Z. And since the goodwill of the firm is given, we will have to find out the retiring partner's share in the value of the goodwill. So for that purpose, Z share of goodwill, for determining the Z share of goodwill, what we'll do, we'll simply multiply 34,800 with the Z's share, 1 upon 6. That was the old PSR of the Z, na? So we can now multiply it. Just a minute. So 34,800 divided by 6, we will get 5,800. And this 5,800 will be distributed among the partners in the gaining and sacrificing share. And now we will pass the general entry as, since X and Y are gaining, so we'll debit their capital account, X capital account debit. Y's capital account debit. To Z's capital account. So 5,800, and the gaining and sacrificing share is 3 by 3:2. The gaining share can be taken as 3:2. So 3:2 is the gaining share. So simply 58 will be shared in the ratio of 3:2. So that means 3 by 5 and 2 by 5. Let's do that. 5,800 into 3 by 5. This will be 3,480. And minus 5,800. So it will be 2,320. Being self-valued goodwill adjusted. Is it clear, everybody? Is this calculation clear to all of you? Anybody want me to explain it again?
It's clear, sir.
Sir,
It's
can you
clear.
repeat?
Can you, sorry, you want me to repeat it again?
No, please repeat it again.
All right,
Please.
other than Ebin, everyone is clear. Ayan, Heba, Mariam. Please say if it is clear or not. Heba, is this clear to you? Mariam is saying done. Clear, sir. Okay. Heba, what about you? Clear. All right, let me explain it once more. See, in this question, we need to treat the value of the goodwill. Like we already treated the goodwill appearing in the book. That was 6,000. We distributed it among the partner in the old ratio. That was 3:2:1, right? And in by doing that, we just debited the X account by 3,000, 2,000, and 1,000 respectively. But when it comes to the treatment of the self-valued goodwill, we will have to determine first of all the gaining and sacrificing shares of the partner, right? And for that purpose, before passing the journal entry, therefore we have first calculated the gaining and sacrificing shares of the partner. And for that purpose, the formula that is applied here to calculate the gaining and sacrificing share is simple as usual, new ratio minus the old ratio. This is the formula for calculating the gaining or sacrificing shares of the partner. And by applying this, we found out 3/30, 2/30, and minus 1/6 sacrificing share for Z. Y is gaining is 2/30, X is sacrificing 3/30. Right. So is there any problem understanding the determination of the gaining and sacrificing share? Yes or no? If please tell me if this calculation is clear, Eben.
Yes, sir, this calculation.
This calculation is clear. Okay. Now we need to pass the journal entry for the self-valued goodwill. But before that, we must determine Z's share of goodwill. Since Z is retiring now. Since Z is retiring, so when Z will retire, we will have to determine Z share in the goodwill of the firm. So for finding out the Z share of goodwill in the goodwill of the firm, we will multiply the Z share, that is 1/6. Z was the partner for 1/6 proportion of share, proportion of profit. And the goodwill of the firm is 34800. So we will simply multiply 34800 with 1/6. We will get 5,800. This is the Z share of goodwill that need adjustment. So what do you mean by adjustment? Adjustment means the existing partner have to give Z 5,800. Existing partner have to contribute 5,800 collectively. What ratio they will be doing that? In the ratio of their gaining and sacrificing share. That means 3:2. So therefore, we have divided 5,800 in the ratio of 3:2. You can also write down the calculation here if you are not able to understand this part. Just a minute. Let me write it here. What I've done here is 5,800 into 3/5, and again 5,800 into 2/5. This is how we get these values 2320 and 3480. Right. I hope this is clear now. Eben, is this clear? Yes or no? Am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir, you're audible. It's clear. Sir, you calculated in the old.
All right. All right. So now we are done with the first part of the question that requires us to pass the journal entry. Now moving on to the B part that requires us to prepare the revaluation account. Then C requires us to prepare the capital account, and then finally the balance sheet. So let's quickly prepare the revaluation account for this question. Revaluation account. Okay, now this is the format of the revaluation account. I'm sure that all of you already remember this. This is the debit side of the revaluation account and this is the credit side of the revaluation account, right? Now let's come to the question, come back to the question. Coming back to the question, let's first of all read the first item. Give me just a minute. Yeah. So the first item in the question is goodwill of the firm is to be valued at 34,800. We already treated this adjustment, right? Now we can move to the adjustment B, which says value of the patent to be reduced by 20% and value of the machinery to be reduced to 90%. Do you understand the meaning of this statement? This statement is saying that we need to reduce the patent by 20%. So let's just look at the value of the patent given in the question. The value of the patent given in the question is 10,000. And there is a reduction in the value of the patent by 20%. That means we will simply calculate 20% of this. 20% of 10,000 will be how much? 2,000. What a patent is reducing by 20%. Now, there is one more part of the adjustment B, which says value of the patent reduced by 20% and that of machinery to 90%. That means value of the machinery declined to, there is a difference between reduced by 20% and declined to machinery to 90%. There is a difference. So that means value of the machinery, what do you mean by my value of the machinery declined to 90%? That means the value of the machinery will now be recorded at only 90%. That means 90% of 50,000 is how much? 45,000, is that right? So now the new value of the machinery is 45,000, right? So that means there is a reduction in the value of the machinery as well by 5,000. Is that correct? Value of the machinery is declining by 5,000. If the value of machine will reduce to 90%, that means the new value of the machine is 45,000. Earlier the machine was recorded at 50,000. That means there is a reduction in the value of machinery by 5,000. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we will go to the revaluation account, and on the debit side, first of all, we will record the value of the patent. Since the value of the patent is reducing now, so I'll write down 2 patents. Patents are reducing by 20%. That means 2,000. %20 of 10,000 is 2,000. And the value of the machinery is also decreasing. Machinery is decreasing by 5,000 because the new value of the machinery is 90. Now the machinery will be recorded at 90% only. So there is a reduction in the value of the machinery by 5,000. Okay. Coming back to the next adjustment. These two are done. Next adjustment says that Z took over the investment at market value. Z will take over the investment at market value means Z is going to buy the investment. Z is retiring now and Z will take over the investment means Z will buy the investment at the market value. Now let's look at the market value of the investment. Market value of the investment is how much? 17,600, right?
13,000.
And the book value of the machinery, book value of the investment is 15,000.
15,000.
So if Z is going to buy investment at 17,600, that means firm is going to generate a profit. Huh? The value of investment, which is of 15,000, someone is buying that investment at 17,600. So we have a profit or not? We have a profit of how much? Tell me, guys, quickly. By what?
2,600.
Correct. 2,600 of profit will be there. So we'll go to the revaluation account, and on the credit side this time we'll write down by investment. By investment 2,600. So why 2,600? Because the value of the Z is going to pay 17,600 for the investment that only value 15,000. So that means we have a profit of 2,600. Therefore 2,600. All right, I hope this point is clear as well. Moving on to the next adjustment. Next thing in the question says that liability for workman compensation to the extent of 750 to be created. Now see, we already have anticipated that we might have to pay workman compensation, and therefore we have already made a reserve of rupees 12,000 by the name of workman compensation reserve. We have already anticipated that there might be a situation wherein we need to pay compensation to the workers, and therefore we already made an advance reserve of 12,000. But actually we need to pay only how much? We need to pay only 750 to the workman. So this is the liability that actually occurred is only for rupees 750. Now the question arises, we have made excess reserve now. What are we going to do with the excess amount of reserve? Tell me. See, we have made a workman compensation reserve of rupees just a minute, 12,000. But actual liability arises at only 750. Actual liability stands at 750 only. That means there will be remaining workman compensation. After paying the liability, there will be some amount of workman compensation reserve will be left. After paying 750 out of 12,000, the remaining amount will be 11,250 rupees, right? 11,250. Tell me, what are we going to do with this amount? Tell me, what are we going to do with this amount? What are we going to do with the remaining amount of workman compensation reserve? Anyone, please tell me.
Sir, we distribute among the partners in all profit sharing ratio.
Correct. This need to be distributed among old partners, their old ratio. And tell me, do you think it is related to the revaluation account? Do you think this is somehow or by any manner it is related to the revaluation account? Do you think that? Is it related to the revaluation account? Yes or no? No. It is not related to revaluation account. So this we are not going to treat this under the revaluation account. We will treat it when we will talk about the partners capital account. Then we will discuss this. So right now there is no use of it. Got it? I hope this point is clear, everybody.
Yes.
Everybody,
Yes, sir.
please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now moving on to the next item, next adjustment. Next adjustment says a liability of rupees 4,000 included in the creditors not to be paid. See, one of the liability of rupees 4,000 need not to be paid anymore to the creditor. One of the liability by one of the liability by way of creditor of rupees 4,000 need not to be paid to the creditor anymore. That means it is a kind of gain, na? It is a kind of gain, right? So we'll go to the revaluation account, and on the credit side itself, we'll write down the value of the creditor that is not required to be paid. Since amount which is not required to be paid to the creditor, it is an obvious gain. So 4,000 will be recorded on the credit side.
Yes.
Got it, everyone? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. Now let's talk about the item G, which says amount due to Z to be paid as per. Okay, this is also not related to revaluation account. We will talk about this later when we will be finalizing the partner's capital account. Then we will talk about this. And we have one item that we skipped: provision for doubtful debt is to be created at 6%. Everybody is able to see that item number C, provision for doubtful debts need to be
Yes,
created
sir,
at
we
6%, right? So see, we have already made a reserve for the provision for doubtful debt. We already made a provision for doubtful debt, but the provision currently stands at 2000. We need to make a provision of 6%. Let's just calculate 6% of the debtor. 6% of 40,000 is 2400. So we should have actually made a provision for 2400, but we have already made a provision of 2000. That means we need to make further provision of rupees 400, right? We already made a provision for 2000, but the actual amount of provision that we are required to make is 2400. If we already made a provision for 2000, that means we will have to further add 4000 in it. So that is going to increase or decrease the profit. Tell me, is it going to increase the profit or decrease the profit?
Sir, decrease.
Decrease the profit, and therefore we will be recording this on the debit side of the revaluation account. So to provision for doubtful. Provision for doubtful debt is how much? It will be 400 on the debit side. Since the reserve of rupees 2000 was already made, we will have to make an extra reserve of 400 only. Done, everyone? I think we have treated all the items that is required to be done for the revaluation account. No more adjustment is required. No more adjustment is given that is useful for the revaluation account. So now we can simply total the credit and debit side values of the revaluation account and determine the profit. So when you will total the debit side value, or when we will total the credit side value, on the credit side we have 2600 plus 4000, that is 3000, and but on the debit side this time we have a greater value. On the debit side you can see sum total of 2000 plus 5000 plus 400 will be 7400, right everyone? 7400 on the debit side this time, 7400. And on the debit side we only have how much? 6600. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So when you will subtract 6600 out of 700, the remaining amount will be profit or loss. Tell me.
Sir, loss.
This time loss, correct. This time we have a loss. We will write down by loss transfer. Loss will be transferred to whom? To the old partners. Who were the old partners? The old partners were X, Y, and Z. So X, Y, and Z will have to bear a loss of 800 in their profit sharing ratio, in their old profit sharing ratio. Got it? So that means 800 into 3 by 6, 800 into 2 by 6, and 800 into 1 by 6. So we will get 400, and totaling this 800 into 2 by 6, 267, and remaining amount will be transferred to Z account 133. Got it, everyone? Is this calculation clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
This is our revaluation account, right? We are yet to prepare the partner's capital account. So if every one of you is done with the revaluation account, then we will move to the partner's capital account. Please confirm if you have completed this or not. You guys are done with the revaluation account so that I can move to the partners capital account. Please confirm.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. All right, so partners capital account. This is the C part of the question. We need to prepare the partners capital account as well. Particular, then we have three partners, no? X, Y, Z. Particulars X, Y, Z. All right, so this is the format of the partners capital account. In the partners capital account, we'll first of all record the value of record the opening balance of the partners. We'll write down by balance BD, right? So balance BD is, it should be given in the question. Let me just open the question. Yeah. So the opening balance in the question is 68,000, 32,000, and 21,000. Everybody is able to see that 62, 32, and 21. 68,000, then 32,000 and 21,000. Got it, everybody? Is this clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's also look at the other values in the balance sheet that need to be distributed. On the liability side itself, you can see workman compensation reserve that we earlier discussed, that in case of workman compensation reserve, actual liability is 750. But we have made a reserve of 12,000. That means the remaining amount need to be distributed. 11,250 is the remaining amount after paying the liability towards the compensation, workman compensation. 11,250 need to be distributed. And in what ratio it will be distributed? It should be distributed in the old TSR. Right, everyone? So let's do that. Let's distribute it among the partners. So when you will distribute it among the partner account will be credited, right? So for that purpose, you will record this distribution on the credit side of the partner's capital account. So by workman compensation reserve, I'm using the short form since I don't have sufficient space available. So I'm writing it in the short form. You can obviously write the full form of it. Workman compensation reserve. Workman compensation reserve that need to be distributed is actually 11,250. And this should be distributed in the old PSR. Old PSR was 3:2:1. So let's calculate 11,250 into 3/6, which this will give us 5,625. X capital account will be credited by 5,625. And Y's capital account will be credited by 3,750. And remaining amount will be distributed to Z 1,875. You don't have to write this. If you want to write it, you can write it. This is just for the reference, 11,250 into old PSR. Then there is one more item appearing in the balance sheet by the name of investment fluctuation reserve, and no information is given regarding the treatment of the investment fluctuation reserve. Right, investment fluctuation reserve, the treatment of the investment fluctuation reserve, how it will be done. This is not given in the question. In fact, the value of the investment in the market, instead of declining, it increased from 15,000 to 17,600. That means there is a increase in the value of the investment. That means we have a profit. We already treated the profit under the revaluation account. So now what about the investment fluctuation reserve? We will simply distribute it among all the partners in the old PSI. So investment fluctuation reserve among all the partners, we'll write down by investment fluctuation reserve, IFR. That is 6,000, and we will distribute it in the old ratio, old PSR. So X is going to get 3,000, Y will get 2,000, and Z will be getting 1,000. Right? Got it, everyone? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Coming back to the question, we have what other item we have in here. On the credit side, we have done everything. On the asset side, we have one asset, advertisement by the name of advertisement expenditure. That is this is a loss, obviously. So it need to be, the loss has to be shared among the partners as well in the old ratio. So we'll go to the revaluation account again, and in that account, we'll this time on the debit side, we'll record to advertisement expense account, and the amount is how much? Amount is 5250. We will distribute it in the old profit sharing ratio. When you will distribute it in the old PSR, you will get 5625 for X, then 1750 for Y, and 875 for Z. Right, everybody, is this clear? Please
Yes,
tell
sir.
me if it is clear or not. Okay. And then we have, if you are able to recall, we have goodwill as well. And the loss of the goodwill need to be, since we are writing off the value of the goodwill, now this need to be written off. And if we are writing it off, the loss has to be borne by the partners. So 6,000 need to be recorded in the partners capital account as well. Right? So see, let's just look at the generality we did previously. For the treatment of the goodwill, what we have written, X capital account need to be debited by 3,000, Y capital account need to be debited by 2,000, Z capital account need to be debited by 1,000 to goodwill account. So we'll go to the partners capital account, and on the debit side, we'll write down to goodwill. Goodwill. Let me write it here, purchased goodwill. In the old PSR. So the amount was 3,000, 6,000, so 3,000, 2,000, and 1,000. Is this clear, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Is this okay? So from the balance sheet, everything is done. Now one more thing is left. The valuation loss
Excuse me,
need to
sir.
be recorded. Yes.
The advertisement expense for X is 2,625.
Oh yeah, sorry. Just a minute. 2625. I'm sorry, not 5625. So 2625. Right? Correct the sign.
Yes, sir.
Now everything is done. Yeah, one revaluation loss need to be recorded here na, as well. Two revaluation loss. We had a loss of revaluation of rupees 800 that need to be debited to X, Y, and Z capital account 400, 267, and 136. 400, 267, and 130. Right? And one more thing is left. Yeah, question was saying that Z will be taking over the investment at the market value, right? Question said that, na? So that means Z is going to take over the investment. So we'll write down to investment, and Z will have to pay 17,600. That means we will simply debit Z account to investment, and Z account need to be debited by 17,600, means we are charging 17,600 from the Z account. All right, I hope this point is clear as well.
Yes,
Please
sir.
confirm if it is clear or not. Yeah, okay. All right, now let me check if any other value is also left. One more thing, that the treatment regarding the self-valued goodwill need to be recorded here as well. Na? Treatment regarding the self-valued goodwill need to be recorded as well. So self-value, in case of self-valued goodwill, what was the general entry? We passed the general entry. Yeah, this was the general entry, right? This was the general entry. X capital account, Y capital account need to be debited. So we will go to the partner's capital account and debit X capital account and Y capital account 3480 and 2320. So we'll go here, partner's capital account, and write down and debit debit the account of X and Y by 3480 and 2320. 3480, 2320. And by what name we'll be writing it? We will be writing it by the name of Z. Z's capital account to Z's capital. Got it, everyone? Why we are writing the name of Z? Because X and Y capital account is debited because of Z, because Z, X and Y need to give Z 3480 and 2320 respectively. And on the other hand, on the other side of the account, we'll also credit Z account. We'll write down this time Z account need to be credited. Na? Same amount need to be given, transferred to the Z account as well. So 3480 and 2320. This will be transferred to the Z account. So 3480 will be transferred from whose account? From X account, right? So we'll write down by X capital account. I'm sorry, X capital account, and here we will write down by Y capital account. Got it, everyone? Please tell me if it is clear or not.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yes, sir.
It's clear. Okay. So I think everything is done. One last thing is still left in this question. Let me just check it. Yeah, I think I have done everything. All right, now let's come back to the question and read adjustment G. Read adjustment number G. See what G is saying. G point is saying that amount due to Z, whatever the amount which is due to Z, is to be paid 5,067 immediately. Immediately means it should be paid by cash immediately. And 50% of the balance amount, 50% of the balance amount, whatever the balance amount will be there, 50% of it need to be paid within 1 year, and then the balance amount need to be paid in the 3-month period by a draft. So let me explain this, how how we will interpret it. See, just a minute, let's just first of all find out the total amount due to Z. How much we will have to pay Z when, since he is retiring now. So let's just calculate the Z, how much Z need to be paid. So 21,000. Let's first of all totally value of the credit side, 21,000 plus 1875 plus 1,000 plus 3480 plus 2320. This is the credit balance of Z, 29675. 29675. Am I getting the right value? Let me just total it again. 21,000, 1875 and 1,000 plus 3480 and 2320. Yeah, 29675. We are getting this 29. Just a minute. Yeah, 29675 and out of 29675 we will subtract all these value, right? And then find out the remaining amount that is left to be paid to Z. So 29675 minus 875 minus 1000 minus 133 minus 17600, right? So the balance amount is 1067. Balance amount is how much? Everybody is able to see that balance amount is 1067. Got it, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Amount to be paid. See, amount to be paid to Z is 10067. Now coming back to the point G is adjustment. G says that 50% of this 50, sorry, whatever the balance amount is, we need to pay 5,067 immediately in cash. That is what question was saying now. Let me show you the question. Question was saying that amount due to Z to be paid as follows. Whatever the amount due to Z, we need to pay 5,067 immediately. So that means the total amount due is 10067. So we should pay 5,067 immediately by cash. And the balance amount is how much will be the balance after paying 5,067 minus 5,067. The balance amount will be 5,000, right? Then the balance amount, how the balance amount will be paid, this is also specified in the question. 50% of the balance amount we need to pay we need to pay in 1 month, and 50% need to be paid through a draft. So out of 5,000, 50% of it will be how much? 2,500 need to be paid in 1 year. That means it will be considered as a loan. We owe this towards Z. We need to pay this after 1 year period, loan for 1 year, and remaining 50% has to be paid in through draft within 3 months. That means 2,500 we will be paying it through a draft of payable in 3 months. That means for this we will issue a bills payable, BP, bills payable. This is how the Z's account will be settled. So coming back to the partners capital account, see, we will pay to cash of 5,067 immediately to Z, and for the remaining balance, 50% of the balance will issue bills payable, BP, that is 2,500, and to bills payable, sorry, to loan Z's loan account will transfer the remaining amount to Z's loan account 2500. This is how Z's account will be settled. All right, everyone. Now, when you will tally, both the sides should tally now. 2, 9, 6, 7, 5. Got it, everyone? Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is it. Now, you will be able to determine the closing capital of all other partners. Right now, everybody will be able to do that. Closing capital for all the other partners. So we'll find out the closing balance to balance CD for the X and Y, and the balance CD for X and Y will be 67120, and for the other partner will be it will be 31413. All right, everyone, and now we will close the account of the partners. Will you be able to do that? Will you be able to total the credit and debit side value? You should ensure that both the side should have same values. Got it,
Okay, sir.
everyone? Okay, there is one more
Yes,
part of this question which is yet to be prepared, with that is balance sheet. We will be preparing the balance sheet in the next class, right? I'm giving you that as homework. Try to prepare the balance sheet for this question. If you are not able to match the balance sheet, I'll do it for you in the next class. All right. I hope everything that we discussed in today's class is clear to all of you.
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
All right. So now, guys, you can leave the session. I'll continue with the other student, and we
So
will
the
continue the remaining part of the question in the next class. Thanks for joining. Goodbye. Take care.
question
What question?
screenshot
Sorry?
we have to take.
Okay, you want to take the screenshot? Just a minute. First, just take the screenshot of the adjustment part, and then I'll show you the balance sheet.
Done, sir.
Done. Also take the screenshot.
Okay, sir. Done.
Done. Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you, sir. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Hello. Good evening, Aman and Sania.
Good evening, sir.